Today I want to talk about good and evil as described by a high spirit called Zabdiel in his communication with the Reverend G. Val Owen, who was an Anglican vicar for the Protestant Church, the Church of England, in the early 1900s, who transcribed or received many messages from different high spirits and who brought those spirit messages to us. And I have those categorized and I discuss them and I back them up with other spiritist writings in my series of 3 books, Heaven and Below, Spirit and Spirit Universe, and How Spirits Guide Us, or How We Are Guided by Spirits. So let me start. This is what Zabdiel said. He started off, he said he wanted to talk about good and evil. And he said, remember, what many men think of good and evil can change depending on the geographical and the cultural locations of Earth. Different people believe different things. But what he said was very important. Let me read this little part. He said that evil is rebellion against those laws of God which are manifest in his working. It is the endeavor of a wise man that he should walk in the same direction as that towards which these laws flow. He who from willfulness or ignorance opposes this current finds at once that an obstacle is presented to him, and that if he persists in his opposition, then disaster will come. What did he mean by that? Well, divine will, God's will, is inside all of us. That, according to Spiritism, is our conscience. Our conscience is the law library. So when we feel something is wrong, it is wrong. And that feeling of something is wrong is pervasive for whatever culture, language, geographical area you spend on Earth. If you're not a very primitive, like in a primitive tribe that have not even really started listening to your conscience. So you have to be somewhat advanced to even start acknowledging that you do have a conscience. Otherwise, people just ignore it. That's really the most important step. But what he is saying is that the evil, that the forces of good are so powerful, they act like waves upon a rock, right? That keep pounding that rock. The more you try and fight that ocean, fight those mighty waves, and the more you'll be opposed by different trials in your life, because remember, there's karma. Each time you go from one life to the other, you pay for your past wrongs. You atone for your wrongs. You also learn new things. But you will be subjected to more and more classes in why what you did was probably incorrect. So this is very interesting. So evil is rebelliousness against the divine will of God. Zabdiel tells us that some people persist in this evil for thousands, maybe 10,000s of years, but that no one, no spirit, no human can resist it life after life, or in thousands of years in the lower zone or the dark abyss. We have been told by other spiritist literature that there are some spirits that have been down in purgatory, what Spiritism calls the dark abyss, for almost 10,000 years. Eventually, these too will come out and they will learn their lessons of what they have done wrong. And this applies to people even they think are like the most evil beings on the planet. Stalin, Mao, Hitler, those, Castro, the dictators of North Korea who starved and killed thousands of people. Mao killed millions of people. Stalin killed and starved millions of people. Hitler did too. These are truly what we believe in our culture, very evil beings. But even they, I know many people don't want to hear this, even they will at some time get rid of that evil and learn how to become a good spirit. It may take multiple tens of hundreds of or thousands of lives for them to learn the lessons they need. But they, even this cadre of evil socialist, communist, fascist dictators within the 20th century will at some time learn to become perfect spirits. That is the beauty of our system, devised by God and carried out through high spirits. Now, Zabdiel tells us that there's, even within spirits in heaven, there is no such thing as all good or all bad or all evil. There's always a balance. There's no, even down in the depths of hell, purgatory, or the dark abyss, the Spiritists call it, there are not people who are all evil. Everyone has a balance. Sometimes the balance is more toward ignorance than the other. And again, Zabdal says it's more of a lack. It's not that they have evil, it's they lack goodness. He equates it to being blind. Being blind means that you lack one of the senses. And if you are blind, you don't know what it ever was like to have sight. And a lot of souls have never known what it was like to really understand what goodness can bring to them. They will be brought to that in subsequent lives. They will learn what goodness is and what goodness does for them and how goodness makes them and other people feel. They will see the rewards of service. So how do you start being good? How do you start goodness? Zabdal tells us it's done in two manners. One is by your force of will. It is by your decision. Follow your conscience. Read and study about Spiritism. And the other method is by prayer and meditation. He said, pray. Pray for you to be allowed to discover goodness. Your prayers will be answered. When those prayers go out, they have a force because they are a prayer for good. They are a prayer for your own advancements, your spiritual advancements. And your spiritual advancements mean advancements for people around you. Those prayers shall be answered. Have faith in that. So to end, there is no person who is evil. So when you think of other people and you think, oh, that person's evil because you disagree with what they said, and how we are so divisive in politics now. No one is all evil and no one is all good. Everyone has their flaws. After all, we are on a planet of atonement. Look for the good in people. Encourage the good in people. When people disagree with you, do not react emotionally. Listen. I have news for everyone who's listening to me. The earth is not a safe space. The earth is a place to listen to things you don't like to hear. You may disagree with them. Many of those things you disagree with, you should rightfully disagree with them. Other things you should stop and think. My advice is to filter everything through your conscience. If it meets with your conscience and by achieving a goal, you're not hurting other people. And because, I cannot stress this enough, the end does not justify the means. The means justify the end. You do not create good by committing evil. So if you want to understand Spiritism more and why you should follow this, what your place is on earth, please read my series of 3 books, Heaven and Below, Spirit and the Spirit Universe, and how we are guided by spirits that will enable you to understand the fact that we are in this college, we're in this school of learning, to learn to change our character and our personality, to get rid of the primitive emotions and to better ourselves and to better all those around us. Jesus Christ, the leader of the spirit world, and the high spirits who work with him around the planet of Earth want all of us to be successful. They want all of us to graduate. They want all of us to ascend in life after life. All you have to do is acknowledge that and understand and ask for help along the way, and it shall be given. I want to say God bless everyone and hope you have much success in your spiritual discovery. God bless.